Alrighty, so here is where I'll talk about the various defensive mechanics that exist in the game. Alright, so when you get knocked down, you know, the opponent can go for anything, so you have to be, like, defensive. So the default technique is just a delayed throw tech while blocking, like we already talked about. There's other techniques you can do if you think they're going to throw. Like I said, you can backdash, or you can jump. And you can do something invincible. All supers are invincible, by the way, except for Vega's. Vega's the only character that doesn't have an invincible super. So here's another thing that people commonly do. A small, like, attack like this into a throw. This is called a tick throw. Doing a small little jab, like a light kick or a light punch into a throw. This is referred to as a tick throw. So this is important because what's important is that it's fast. It changes up the rhythm of your throw tech slightly. You know, you have to quickly see that it was a light into a throw and not just a throw. So one reason that tick throws are used is because it slightly changes up the rhythm of the throw tech by a thing that's hard to react to. Another thing is because it creates a guaranteed situation. So if I have, for example, if I have the opponent blocking like this and I do standing light punch, I'm in throw range. So if I'm point blank and I do this, I'm +2, and every character's regular throw is 5 frame startup. The fastest attack in the game is 2 frames, but very few characters have an attack that is 2 frames. The fastest regular attack in the game is 3 frames, so this is a 3-frame attack. I would say about half the characters in the game have a 3-frame attack. Most characters, their fastest move is 4. A lot of characters, their fastest move is 4 frames. So 3-frame attacks like this are a big advantage. They're really helpful to have a move that's 1 frame faster than the fastest thing that your opponent can go for. For example, Ken. Ken doesn't have anything regular that's 3 frames. All of Ken's light attacks are 4 frames, which means that I have an inherent advantage. So say I do like this. This is negative, so it's not my turn. Or so you would think. See? It shows me in red. -1, so it's not my turn. But if the opponent does his light attack, his fastest move, in response, so even though this is negative, if we both do our attacks at the same time, it trades. We both get hit at the same time because I am 1 frame faster than him, because my fastest move is 1 frame faster than his fastest move. So characters that have a 3-frame attack are inherently better suited for a lot of situations. They can hit buttons more frequently in situations because they have that 1-frame advantage. But anyways, so the point is, if you're at here, you know, you're +2, and a throw is 5 frames, so there's a 3-frame gap in between, which means there's nothing that can beat it, because throws will beat anything else. So even if this attack, this 3-frame attack, lands at the same time that the throw lands, the throw will win. So that means that +2 means you're guaranteed to get the throw. They can't attack in between that. So this is a great tick throw scenario, and, you know, one of the other reasons tick throws are used is because you're creating this perfectly timed situation. All you have to do is just do that, and it's perfectly timed. There's no guesswork or trying to manually time anything. It is perfectly set up so that the throw will land at the exact right time. So that's one advantage to tick throws. You can create this perfect situation where they have to tech at this moment, and that makes it also useful for shimmies. So you can do the light into throw, or you can do the light into walking backwards and hitting him for trying to break the throw. So tick throws are really good. So if I were to activate both of these things, See how I'm throw teching twice in quick succession? So I'm throw teching late so that I block the light attack, and then I throw tech the next attack. So yeah, you can set up like these long sequences of things so that you can practice doing that. So yeah, you can set up that and get the right timing every time. But once again, it's always a risk, even if you're doing that, because if they don't go for a throw and they just walk backwards instead, you're opening yourself up. So you don't always want to do that, but like it's an important skill to have as an option to go for. As you can see, doing that same thing here just gets me hit. Because he's hitting at that awkward timing, and if I do the throw... I'm getting hit. Another thing that you can do is backdash. So in this situation, I can backdash that third hit, and he doesn't have that many things that could possibly reach me or catch me if I backdash. He would have to commit to doing something like running after me if he's guessing that I'm going to backdash. So this does move you backwards, which is usually a bad thing. You don't want to be moving backwards all the time because you'll just be putting yourself into the corner. So this does move you backwards, but it is great in like a situation like this for getting out of the pressure. So yeah, that's an important thing to practice as well. But another thing that you can do is even if... So in this situation... By the way, it's also important to like know what the frame data is on your opponent. For example, he's doing this crouching medium punch, which is it is a medium button, but it's +2. You can see that he's +2 every time he does that on block. But it comes out in 6 frames. So, you know, if he's +2 and the move comes out in 6 frames, that means if he does it back to back, there's a 4-frame gap in between. Which means I can interrupt it if I have a 3-frame character. Or a 3-frame normal like Mika does. So, that's not real. And I can beat it. If he keeps going for that, I don't have to do anything. I can just like, yeah, that's not real. And I can just hit him because... But anyways, yeah, another thing that you can do on defense is you can backdash even if you're too close. So long as you're not going to get completely locked down. So like here's a scenario where you would get totally locked down. So that's a situation where I hit backdash after blocking the first attack, but I don't have the time. It's too tight. It's too tight of a string. So I get hit because you're vulnerable when you're trying to backdash. However, if you have slightly more time available to you, like that, so this is a 4-frame gap, as we already established, between these medium punches, and if I backdash after blocking the first one, I'm hit, but I'm hit out of the air. As you can see, I'm not being hit in the same way. I'm hit, and that's the only damage I take, and I'm still creating some distance. So I do take that little bit of damage, and I do have to air reset, but this is also a good strategy. Even if you know you're going to get hit for backdashing, your backdash will make you airborne after the 2nd frame. So long as, even if you can't challenge with like a 3-frame button like this, you might still get airborne with your backdash if you do the backdash, which means that even if you get hit, it's much safer than getting hit on the ground. So here's a situation where this crouching light kick that he does is +1, and his standing light kick is +4. So there's a 3-frame gap between him doing these things, which means that I can backdash, and it'll still hit me, but it'll hit me out of the air. Like that. So here's another situation where walking backwards is also good. So as you might expect, you know, if the opponent's pressuring you, if you hold back, you do block, but you also, if they don't do anything, like say if they're walking towards you. So a normal situation for Necalli might look like this. But if I hold back the whole time, if he ever does anything else, like he walks forwards or something to try to take extra turns, I'm creating distance. Whereas if I just sat there blocking the whole time, you know, he can approach me, right? So he can take those extra turns because he thinks that I'm not going to do anything. And this is what a lot of pressure in the game looks like, as you can see. So if I try to swing on any of these things, see, I get hit. Or I get hit there if I try to attack back. So, you know, if he does these things, it conditions you to not attack back. But if he gets you docile, like not attacking back, it lets him take extra turns like this, where he does the medium kick, that knee, and then he walks forward and does another one. So I can interrupt that, but it's a risk. So I can just swing on that, but it is a risk, because he might just do the regular attack string. However, I can mitigate that risk by walking backwards, which makes it harder for him to walk forwards and approach me when he's taking his extra turns. So walking backwards always creates extra space, and because your body is wider when you're crouching and thinner when you're not crouching, when you're standing, it also makes attacks less likely to connect with you to begin with, if you just are holding back to walk backwards. So this is a good technique. However, when you're walking backwards, you're not blocking low. So yeah, all of these things, all of these strings you can beat by just walking backwards if he's never going to go for a low attack. So this is also a good strategy. So yeah, mixing in backdashes with walking backwards. And sometimes, you know, sometimes you just have to sort of be patient and just, like, take your chance, especially if you're in the corner and you don't have anywhere left to move backwards. So your backdash won't get you out of there, your walking backwards won't get you out of there. If you're already trapped here, you know, you can't use those options. So sometimes you just have to sort of, like, be patient and look for your opportunity to, like, you know, assume that he's going to overextend or do something that's not a real frame trap, a real frame-tight string. So here is another situation of a block string, but the opponent is actually going for a low attack. So if I'm just holding back to walk backwards here, I get hit. And this can be very deadly. So instead, this is a situation where I could backdash, probably. Yeah, I can backdash that. But there's another important technique to learn, and that is, this is a technique that is very important to practice. It's something that can be practiced, you know, no matter how good at the game you are, you can always practice this and get better at it. An important skill, and this is what's called micro-walking. So, every time you block an attack, like a medium attack like that, even though it is their turn, so if I were to try to attack him after this, well, okay, this one isn't, but anyways, yeah, it is dangerous to try to attack backwards in a lot of these situations, but the point is, every time the opponent does an attack and you block it, you have a little bit of opportunity to just move a snidge back, even if they go for a low attack. So watch this. So if I just hold backwards to walk backwards after blocking that move, I get hit. But if I hold back, and then as soon as I get released, I very quickly go back to blocking down, like that. It'd be better if I did this instead. The point is, relative to the opponent, I am moving backwards. So, every single time the opponent does something like this, for example, if I turn on all these, if I just hold down back after I start blocking, you know, he can just sort of run over all day. But every single time I block one of those attacks, I can move a slight smidge backwards. And over time, you know, this can really like create more distance. And this is important because there's zero risk to this whatsoever. There's absolutely no risk to this, and it's something that you can constantly use to build just a little bit more space away from the opponent. So you can always, every single time you see something that you're blocking, that, you know, it's still the opponent's turn, you can walk backwards for a smidge, and then go back to down backing. Oops. Like that. So yeah, this is something that you can always do, and the better you get at the timing of it, you know, you're walking backwards more and more. So this is something that you can literally always do. There's zero risk to this, because you're blocking low before the opponent can do their fastest low attack. So you're back to, you know, being wary of that before they can do anything about it. And yeah, this is just a 100% guarantee to get away from the opponent faster if they're pressuring you. So a good skill that is always useful. And then beyond that, those like techniques and stuff like that. You also have other techniques like delayed actions. Anything that you can do, like blocking and breaking the throw, for example. Like that. You know, blocking, but if they go for a throw, teching the throw. You can do that delay with basically anything. So I'm doing a crouching jab, like almost immediately after every single action would normally land. Which means that if he goes for the regular string like this, I'm blocking everything. But if he goes for some, like, if he tries to walk up, and it's always a risk, because they can just alter their timing and hit you. Like, any amount that you delay an action for, there's always a way to blow it up by them just waiting that extra bit of time before they hit their attack. But in general, yeah, that's another defensive action. You can delay to hitting an attack instead of a throw. Sometimes it can be good to just jump out of strings, especially strings that are low to the ground that won't hit you out of the air. So yeah, in a situation like this, for example, if I hold up and backwards to jump backwards, I get hit. But if I hold up and forwards here, I get out. So yeah, jumping backwards can always be good, because as soon as your character gets off the ground, you're in an airborne state, which means it's less risky, because if you get hit, you just flip out of the air, and it doesn't turn into a big combo or anything. So yeah, jumping out is usually good, especially if they go for something like a shimmy or a throw. You're way out of there. Way more distance that you're creating than if you backdash. If you backdash, you get this far away. If you just hold up back, you're getting significantly farther away, and you can come down with an attack if they continue to chase you. So it's usually a good option to go for. Just up backing, usually on a delay. So, for example, so right there I inputted blocking, and then holding up back, and then going down back to blocking. So if he didn't do that attack, like say he went for a shimmy instead, I'm blocking and then jumping back and then blocking again. So, it beats that, but it also, so it jumps away from that situation. But it also blocks this situation. So there, I'm jumping as soon as I'm in the block stun, which means that if... So, doing the same thing means that happens if he goes for a shimmy. So, doing delays into throw teching, jumping backwards. It's difficult to get a delay into a backdash because a backdash is a more complicated input since you have to hit the button twice. But a delayed backdash, if you can execute it quickly, is also a good strategy. And then we have, like, actual defensive tools that specific characters have access to. For example, this armor attack. It has armor on its 3rd frame, which makes it better than using, like, a jab. So that will blow through 1 hit of an attack. So that's a defensive tool. However, it is risky because it's unsafe on... If they just block, it's unsafe on block. So it is a risk to go for, because they can punish it if they predict it. So with Ryu, Ryu actually pulls back his body every time he throws a fireball. So it can be used in these close-range situations where normally, if I were to, like, do anything else, or swing, or just walk backwards, I wouldn't get out of range of this attack. But I can pull back my body with a fireball to counter this. So there are some moves that work in a defensive way where just doing them really quickly pulls your body back, your hurt box back, so that it's not hittable by the opponent. And another defensive tool some characters have is a parry. So this, it depends on the parry. Different parries work differently, but yeah, this isn't like armor. You're not taking the damage when you parry. You're totally nullifying the attack and changing the frame advantage. So if he does this move, I get a free punish like this. Because usually that move is +3 on block, but when I parry it, I'm actually +6. And then you have also, some characters have some weird, like, privileged defensive options like this. So Akuma can teleport forwards or backwards in any given situation, and it's 100%, it's totally attack invincible, like, as soon as it starts. It can be, you know, you can chase it, and you can also throw it. It's not invincible to throws. But, it is still a useful tool that is sometimes used. That is more beneficial in some situations than others. It's usually a risk because you can still, like, chase down the move itself. And, of course, you also have your V reversal, which often can be blocked, you know, but it still creates a lot of space away from your opponent. So you can get like that, and you can get off. But there are some moves that it's guaranteed to connect on. Like that. So as soon as you block Kami's standing heavy punch, like that, it's a guaranteed spot to do that V reversal. And get that attack. And it does deal damage. Whenever you land those, it deals potential damage, but it is damage. And another defensive technique that you can use, other than just invincibility. Another defensive mechanic that you can use is some characters, like Mika, for example. A good one for Mika is just activating your V-trigger. Because even if you get hit, it's your V-trigger is guaranteed to activate no matter what, which means that your tag partner is guaranteed to come out. Which means you're, like, the opponent's guaranteed to, like, get struck. and have to stop. And then it's your turn. So, you take a hit, but you can still force your way, like, bully your way out of a situation by calling in that attack. So there are still ways to beat this, however. Beat this with this wake up with the Nadeshiko call. One, if you get thrown, the throw animations, like, ignore the rest of the world around them. So you see Nadeshiko's not doing anything. So if you get thrown for this, you know, it doesn't help you. However, there's also still ways to beat it normally, like this, and then if I see the freeze frame, Abigail can cancel into this parry attack, so he can parry Nadeshiko. And then use it as part of his combo. So those are a lot of the defensive mechanics in this game. Some characters have other options, like moves that, you know, change their hurt box, make them duck under some attacks, which is called low profiling, which Mika does have access to. Then you have, you know, other invincible attacks, other armor attacks, moves that aren't invincible, but, well, okay. And then you have, some other weird defensive moves, like Vega has a backflip kind of move. Blanca has a move with some invincibility, but it's not like a reversal. So there's some other weird defensive mechanics, but those are like some of the default techniques and moves that you can use. Also mentioned, pay attention to the stun bar. So the stun bar is increasing, you know. If it gets too high, you're worried about like the next couple of attacks getting you stunned. You can actually decrease a chunk of your stun gauge by doing a V-reversal. So if you block an attack and do a V-reversal, it'll get rid of some of your stun gauge instantly. Like so. That being said, it's not always like a good idea to go for. Sometimes you want to save it for a V-trigger, because it'll, or a lot of the time actually, you want to save it for a V-trigger, because your V-trigger is a stronger tool in general for making big comebacks. Like so. A V-trigger can really, like, change the tide of a fight. And there's also ways of beating V-reversals as well, and, you know, trying to recover that stun might be good in the moment, but you'll actually end up taking more damage overall. You can get thrown out of a V-reversal for one, but there's also... So yeah, you can get hurt pretty bad if you, like, do a V-reversal at a bad time. Against some characters more than others. Gil, right here, has great ways of blowing up V-reversals. Thanks to this V-skill 2 that he has.
Time to return to harmony. Seraphic wing!
But anyways, yeah, in general, that's like the defensive, you know, techniques, and there's you know, more that you can utilize, but yeah.